Hi, Holly. How are you, love? I'm going to share this real quick and then we'll get into the readings. And then we're going to talk about parallels between the times of Lemuria Atlantis and today. So that's going to be a multiple part series. Hi, Anna. How are you, love? So, yeah, I got a lot to talk about on this subject. So that's what we're going to do. Maybe for the rest of the week. I'm not sure. It's probably at least going to be a three-part. So we'll just see. But how are you guys doing? Good. I'm glad you're doing good, Holly. Almost done. There we go. Got it shared. Ready. Okay. So I'm gonna show you one of my bestie's business cards because I made his logo. They're really cool. They're like metal. They're like a super thin metal, but these are ah sorry. Let me get a grip on this thing. These are Mikey's business cards. My bestie here locally. So yeah, I made that. I made that for him, but not the stickers and the business cards. He had stickers made too. I just put one on top on my cup. But yeah, I got to represent the bestie. Bit tired and resting today, Anna. Good. Listen to your body. I had just a regular session, a 1 hour session earlier with a client, and Frequency decided to come channel through. So that was fun. And Duncan, of course, was doing his back and forth, in and out thing. And so, yeah, business card made to last for sure. I didn't make the business card itself, but the picture I did. Hey, Matt. So I channeled Frequency, and Duncan was doing, he was crying throughout half of it. Um, because he wanted back out, and I had let him in and out like 3 times at this point. So after the channel was closed, after Frequency finished, um, she was like, "Your cat, like, it keeps crying," and I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna let him back out. Hold on." I stood up to go walk over, and I almost like, I don't know, I was feeling like vapor, and I was so wobbly just trying to walk a few feet over to let the cat out and back in. And I'm like holding onto the wall on the way back. I'm like, okay, maybe after Frequency, I should like integrate for at least a minute or so before I go trying to walk. So, high frequencies. I'm used to water. My body is used to water. Hi, Sonia. Um, so it's easier for me just to pop in and out, and just carry on with my movements and living my life. But Frequency, I'm going to have to channel a few more times to get that, real steady, like you can come in and out without much effect on the body. Right? Still between dimensions. I don't know where I was. I was somewhere, but I felt like I'm like, can you see through me? Like, am I a ghost right now? Hey, Wendy, how are you, darling? Um, oh, yes, I'll show you again. So I didn't make the business cards themselves. They're made out of like a super thin metal, but I did do his logo and the picture. So I made this whole thing for him, and then he sent it off to someone to make the business cards to print them on this. But that whole logo, all of that, that's all me. So I made that for my bestie for his business, and he had stickers made too. So I put one of those on my cup. But yeah, he fixes motorcycles, dirt bikes, side by sides, quads, like ATV type stuff, anything on 2 wheels, and lawnmowers. He's been getting a lot of people asking him to repair their lawnmowers lately. It tis the season, but it's amazing how many lawnmower requests he has. He has 2 of them right now in his shop. I was just there the other day. but so funny. So yeah, Mr. Fix It. I know. I didn't know they made metal business cards, but they do. It's someone that he knows personally. It's actually his wife's cousin that makes those. I don't know if like Vistaprint does that kind of thing because I get my business cards from Vistaprint. So I don't know if they have a metal option, but if so, I'm gonna get some. Oh my goodness. I have had some wacky shit happening to me today, you guys. Henry VIII literally stalked me on TikTok today, you know, in real time. There was a profile, and I was like, it was a signpost for other things that I've been experiencing, you know, with the voice and being suppressed and algorithmically like blacklisted and stuff. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, we're pushing through this one. Screw you, Henry VIII. And I've had since seeing that profile popping up on my TikTok, like going to view my profile because I have the little view thing on, I was like playing in my head over and over again that song, Henry VIII, I am. Yeah. So that's been going. Thanks, ADHD. But so yeah, it's been kind of a wacky day. But transmuting TF out of energies, and that, you know, that's easy to transmute because I couldn't help but laugh because the synchronicity of all synchronicities that could possibly pop up for me in my reality, I get Henry VIII. Really? That song, you remember it? My grandma loved that song, that whole era. You know, she would come pick us up on the weekend in her Firebird, her crimson red Firebird, and she would be blasting the oldies. And I'm talking about the true oldies, not 80s and 90s genre music. So, yeah, it's don't even start with me, Henry. I'll just lose my head with you, right? the crazy synchronicities that, like, if you're paying attention, if you have the eyes to see it, nuts, absolutely bonkers. Anyway, let's get into this reading because this is funny too. Don't even start with me, Henry. I'll lose my head with you, man. And you don't want to see it this time. The second verse, same as the first. Yeah. And my grandma's been around in spirit for the past few weeks too. So it's all just, you know, as things tend to do, the fabric of my reality is really exposing itself to me. The realities are blurring. Yeah. You're welcome, Holly. Now hopefully it doesn't get stuck on a loop in your head like it did mine all day. So and the weird thing about it is, I'm going to just highlight one of the weird things about this profile, okay? It had a profile picture of sacred geometry. What? Just someone, a spiritual community person, sacred geometry as their profile picture. Yeah, cool. Get it. Why would you then name your profile Henry VIII? Okay, it's a bot, obviously, but come on now. Sacred geometry and Henry VIII. Something's fishy. All right, so I'm reading the cards a different flow today on my table than from what I usually do, just because I've been told to do it. Okay. Okay. So we're going to start with the tarot bottom of the deck as we usually do. AI is taking over the internet. Yeah. We have Empress showing up in the reverse. Hi, Lisa. So for this card, because I, from the spread, and you'll see, I was like, what? That's how we're starting things? What does it mean? And I got in gestation. Even though she is in the reverse, it feels like a pause. It feels like you are closed off to the divine feminine energy, which is closed off to receiving, you know, suppression in your own experience with your voice, with people ignoring you, you know, not getting your just due, whether that's in work or business, within relationships, whatever it is, on social media, whatever. 111 there. Thanks, Matt. But it's not like she's pregnant. It doesn't matter if you flip her right side up or upside down. She's still pregnant. She's still got something in gestation, okay? But this is just that closed off to the actual birthing of this thing. It's like on a loop in gestation. This is happening for a reason. Now they're showing me the journey that I went on with my trip, my last trip with the shroomists, and how I know I've described to you guys how I saw like it was the it was like a planet that looked like Earth, but it was like oblong. It was like weird shaped, right? And it's more, I don't know, kind of like a projectile, but it's hurtling through space, through the cosmos, and um, the feminine energy is like trapped within this thing. It's like a chunk of rock, but also there's trees and water and stuff. It looks like an Earth-like planet, but it's made of rock. And so it's like she's encased inside of this rock, hurtling through space. And it's like she's captured, held prisoner, she's confined, but also it's for protection so that she can get across vast distances in order to be able to break free from the center. And, you know, that's like her protection. It's her capsule. She's encapsulated. And what might feel like prison or like things are, you're stonewalled, can't move, can't do anything, is actually protection. So that you can get to point B. And then we have the Four of Wands right behind that. Hi, Catherine. I love you. Thank you so much for the donation. Catherine sent me a major donation last night, and I didn't see it until super late. So I actually don't really know what time you sent it, but thank you so much. And I'm gonna have to inbox you a recorded reading or something for that, because that was just so generous, and I appreciate you so very much. So thank you. You're back with the sessions for SCHH. If this resonates, reach out. I'm in training and it's free. Yes, if you are looking for a your own hypnosis session, this is quantum hypnosis, just like Dolores Cannon's method, but different, right? And you're able to do it online through like a Zoom call or something. So if you are looking into a session like that and you would like to get one from Matt, you feel like you resonate with him, align with him, then please absolutely reach out to him. You can also find him in a group if you are part of the group as well. So this divine feminine energy being, you know, kind of stonewalled or locked into place for the time being, okay, not able to squeeze that sucker out of there, just, you know, perpetual pregnancy. And I know that most of you females know exactly what the feeling that comes with that. With the thought of being perpetually pregnant, right? Because I know for me pregnancy was torture. But Four of Pentacles, you're holding back, you're holding things close to your chest. You are, she's protecting that purse with those pentacles in it, with those tangible things, those seeds, if you will. Hi, Mary. Nice to see you, love. Thank you for joining us. So it's not that things are not moving forward, it's that things are being protected at this time. We also have the Emperor, which would be the divine masculine also, and he is showing up in the upright. So protection of that sacred energy. Perhaps you are also, or have been, maybe all your life, like me, I've done the same thing, had to protect our own sacred divine feminine energy, and perhaps at times overcompensating with that masculine energy. um, I know that's one of my downfalls. I'm very masculine in my energy as well. I definitely do protect that feminine energy at all costs. So if this is you, if you are right there in the same boat with me, uh, this is also something that is meant to happen. It's set up that way. And as we peel back the layers of the need, thank you, Deborah, and you're so welcome, love. Thank you, thank you. As we peel back the layers of that feeling of the need to overcompensate or protect our divine feminine energies, yes, masculines, I'm talking to you too, that's when we start to really there's a breakthrough, like the chrysalis that we've been talking about. Being in butterfly soup is the same as being perpetually pregnant. You know, you can relate with the masculine side, Wendy. Yeah, yeah, same, same boat. So these layers were put on as a form of protection, energetic barrier, energetic protection. Hi, Heidi. Thank you so much for joining us. And this energetic protection has been necessary for everyone's divine feminine energy existing in the energetic plane that we've existed in. But as the veil thins, as we remember who we are, as we start to anchor more of these higher frequencies, star seeds. Hey, Patrick, I love you. Thank you. Thank you. Nice to see you too. As we start uncovering these soul memories, and also those activate the signal for receiving our activations and energetic upgrades. So you know, it's a self-sustaining, think of toroidal energy, self-sustaining, self-growing system. And that's what we're in the process of doing. Many of us, all of us basically, are peeling back the layers of the masculine that, you know, within us, that's protected our own divine feminine energy. And this feels like a burden too. Many of us have been burdened with this energy, and on top of that, it will attract experiences that are burdensome, that highlight the fact that we're overcompensating with our energies, and it's highlighting that imbalance or that misalignment with our masculine and feminine. This is shadow work. You know, we do the shadow work process, and we shed light, and we integrate, we bring it back to the whole, and then, you know, we go on about our merry little way until something else happens, and we've got to, you know, shed some light on that and integrate that into the whole and continue. So there are there are patterns within our genetic coding, whether that is ancestral, genealogically tied to this ancestral line, or soul traumas and even triumphs. Okay, those things are also carried through to the soul from incarnation to incarnation. But there are many patterns that we have collected that are distorted because of the distortion that's existed here for so long. So whether that's us having incarnated here and been stuck on the loop incarnating here, or that's us, you know, with as volunteers that come here to help shift and heal through this information, the genetic information encoding for the bloodlines. We are disrupting the pattern, you see, with our remembrance. You guys have heard the term history repeats itself, right? Repeating patterns. And we're experiencing a great big one at this time. You're the disruptor frequency. You're here to break the patterns, and that's why it's so heavy. That's why you experience so much resistance, because whenever you start to step outside of the flow of energy, so think of it for your genetic heritage here, okay, your family's bloodline, there are these trauma patterns, these wounding patterns, and it carries over, it spills over into every generation, because at some point, you know, they were exposed to this energy, whether in utero or in the family dynamic in their growing up. So this is encoded within DNA, our genetic expression, our physical, you know, characteristics and expressions will adapt from generation to generation. That's why you see kind of a running theme. They kind of look similar, but they have also vastly different features. This is where we get that. I'm trailing off here, so sorry, side quest. So whenever you come into that bloodline, say there is a pattern of religious traumas and false beliefs and so forth that's playing out, and you're the one that awakens and you're like, no, I'm not following your religion, I'm not following your version of your God or whoever that you know, bend your knee to. That's not the truth as I see it. So now I'm going to go ahead and heal all of the religious trauma accumulated over my childhood and through my genetic inheritance, through my DNA. And now moving forward, generations moving forward are not going to have that same experience. Their experiences are going to be new, and they're going to build on those and maybe have a little bit of residue from other things, but you know, they carry that on. But you disrupted that pattern. You broke that that loop. And the Six of Cups is, you know, things coming back around from the past, or you know, yeah. Anyway, so you're breaking that loop. You're breaking the confusion. We have Seven of Cups next to that showed up in the reverse. Okay. You are overcoming the confusion, the distortion, and Temperance. You're healing that. You're bringing healing to that. You're bringing balance back to either yourself, but it's never yourself, right? Because we're all one. So yourself and anyone connected to you, anyone connected to your genetic heritage, and anyone connected to any energetic version of you anywhere. So this is why your healing work here in this realm is so important. But overcoming, healing that, all of the things that have bound you, your family line, your whoever, you know, you're overcoming that. um yeah, the Queen of Pentacles came out with the Death card like together. So I took them as that, and I left them overlapping, because you are that divine feminine energy, that very grounded divine feminine energy that is bringing endings and rebirth to these trauma patterns, wherever you got them from, okay? Wherever they came from. um Overcoming that confusion, that's bringing an end to the shadow, to the veil, to the um avoidance of reality. Standing in your power, standing in your femininity, whether you're male or female, identify as whatever, I don't care. um and this is part of that unburdening. 10 of Wands, packing that shit up and leaving it. And then we have uh the Knight of Wands, which in this deck has the Four of Wands right behind her. And what did we pull earlier? Bottom of the deck energy, Four of Wands. So foundations, moving forward, alignment. Okay, Four Wands, That's 1111 alignment. Worked on Mormon and Cherokee. Trail of Tears come to mind on me. Yes. Definitely. I've got Cherokee too in my bloodline. So you're able to pack it up and walk away from it, let it go, only take what's necessary, what's needed, and that's the lessons, the information, the wisdom that came through with all of those trauma patterns. But you're able to move forward in a beautiful, passionate, unimpeded, unhindered way. That Knight of Wands, it talks about passion and quick, swift momentum moving forward, because whenever you are in creative mode and you are passionate about what you're doing, when your soul's just on fire and you're just flowing with it, and you're that channel for creation, that passion energy, that is that momentum that gets you moving forward, that's tapping into creation itself. And when you look at how vastly different the skies are. Look at the colors of these cards. Like 10 of Wands, you're packing shit up, you're moving on, you're leaving it all behind. And then this is the light that you've brought to that darkness, that void, oh, that's funny that I just said that, because the next card I'm going to is the void. But leaving that, bringing awareness, bringing light, and bringing love and creation back where it's been dull and dark for so long, for yourself and for others, however that resonates for you. Universal Hex. Are you talking about the Devil card? So we have the Void, Stop, Embrace Winter, and the Great Cosmic Womb. So that perpetual pregnancy, right? Because we did have the Empress in the reverse. Feels like things are halted. Hey, princess, nice to see you, love. So feeling like you're never ending pregnancy. Like, when am I going to be able to birth my new reality? When, like, I'm hitting a brick wall, I'm stuck, I'm encapsulated in this rock, my masculine is overcompensating. Stop, embrace the void, embrace the stillness. Okay, just be, just exhale. Why are you holding your breath anyway? The only constant is change. Energy is constantly in motion. We know that. But we can get so focused on the fact that we're going around in circles, just stagnated, just in one spot, and we're trying to move forward, and we're trying to action it to death, and we're trying to do all of these things to get that energy moving forward. Sometimes the best way to do that is just to stop and be open. I don't know how it's going to happen. I'm not going to try to control it. I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to be just open to whatever transpires, because you know what? I'm done. I'm tired. I'm sick of trying to fight my way forward. Why are you fighting? That idea presents the fact that there's something to fight, an enemy, some kind of oppositional force. So I'm taking all this in right now too, y'all. Okay. I'm channeling to me too. Protection symbol. The Devil card is a really good card in the tarot. It's some people interpret it as negative, but it's not. It does talk about the ties that bind. But the Devil is also the card of Capricorn, of dedication through difficulty. Okay. Capricorn, I guarantee it could walk through hell and be like, maybe I'll have a cup of water at the end. I'm going to have to get through this first. I'm going to have to keep moving. I'm going to have to do the work to get myself there before I'm going to stop and take a drink. I'm not taking a drink while I'm, encompassed in flames. So, but yeah, they're going to continue to push through. They're going to, it doesn't matter what tries to bind them. They're going to continue. So, I really love that, and that you caught that with the devil card, Matt. Thank you. So the void. This is the womb, the cosmic womb, the point of creation. It's that space in order for creation to take shape. Okay, so your life is a canvas, artist, manifestation, and creative accountability. So just we're like mid reading, princess, right in the middle. Um, your life is a canvas, you get to paint it, okay? But also sometimes we have to pause. We have to reassess, what do I really want to paint here? Is the current direction that I'm taking this piece, is this where I really want to go end game, or have I changed my mind? Is there, some way that I can expand this, something that I can enhance it with? What can I add? What can I take away? So reassessment, just sit there, take a pause, reassess, realign your energy, okay? And reassessing isn't what I want you to do the whole time either, because that's a lot of masculine energy, okay? The observation is what really I want you to focus on here, because when you're observing, you're not actively doing anything except for just being open to whatever transpires. Reassessing is observation with that left brain aspect added to it, where what am I going to change, what am I going to improve, what am I going to action? So that's observation with the implied action. So again, just take a step back, observe, feel through it, whatever it is, whatever's coming up for you, feel through it on what is not moving forward, what you've been focused on creating and hasn't really, you've had roadblocks, or just hasn't really tangibilized. Maybe it's dissolved, maybe it's kind of got up there and then kind of dissolved a little bit and kind of got up there, the back and forth. So just allow right now, tap into that divine feminine energy whenever you can. Meditation is a great way to do that, just meditating on your own divine feminine, going into the heart space, and being open to hearing from your divine feminine and what messages may come through with her. We have follow the stream on the bottom of the deck, dedication, trust, and future rivers and oceans. So right now you might be just kind of existing in that stream. It doesn't feel like it's really going anywhere fast, but all streams lead to rivers and oceans, right? That's what they say anyway. Um, so dedication means being dedicated to where you're flowing, practicing loving detachment. Yes, very, very important. And a skill that is very difficult to master. Even when you think you've mastered it, you haven't always mastered it. So just allowing yourself to stream into these areas where, like you thought you may have mastered a certain energy, and now there's something that is surfacing for you that you're like, I thought I was past this. We talk about this quite a bit, but I thought I was past this, but I thought I was a master at this. I thought, I've done it so well so many times before. What am I getting hung up on now? There's always something residually there. So be open to perceiving it, because, remove that ego that, oh, I've mastered this already. That's not mine to learn. Yeah, it is. We're constantly learning. There's an ebb and a flow to everything, right? So um, no one here is going to be a complete master of everything. And when we think we've mastered something, there's always more layers to go. Like if you're meant to see those things, those layers are meant to be highlighted for you. You're meant to go to those areas. You're going to be taken there. So follow the stream. Trust that it's leading you to your future rivers and oceans. And oh my Lanta, I just looked down at the bottom of the deck to see the card that was right behind this one. You guys, we have Atlantis. Hey, Angela. Keep the big vision. Stay in alignment as you grow, because Atlantis certainly did not. And we're going to talk about that here in a minute. But lo and behold, don't you know it? Atlantis shows up in our reading before our topic about Atlantis. Keep the big vision. Stay in alignment as you grow. Atlantis was a very spiritually evolved civilization at one point in time, but then their quest for power and more scientific left brain type energy overtook things, because they got rid of the mother, the divine feminine, physically, tangibly. They sunk Lemuria. So what do you think is going to happen? So, oh, um, this is just nuts. The synchronicities that are following me today, you guys. So follow the stream. Stay in alignment as you grow. Bring that femininity into things, because you can't just masculine things to death all the time. Okay, guys. I know that this current reality was built on the toxic masculine and masculining shit to death. But hey, Jay, how are you, love? But we're changing things. We have to bring more of that feminine into it. And whenever we have to be put on pause because we're expending so much masculine energy, so that we can, invite the feminine to grow again in frequency, grow bigger, expand, start to come into balance with that masculine that we've been overusing. That's where we hit this metamorphosis. Embrace transformation. Things are now different. The metamorphosis has already happened. So look at it from that perspective. Go through your experience as if it's already happened. And that's how solutions start to arise. If you're looking at a space of, this problem is happening here and now, you're not looking at possible solutions. So energetically, how you kind of hop over that hurdle is, whenever you're doing this work, or whenever you're encountering these obstacles, look at it in the present as if you're already past it. Look at it as if you've already found the solution, and then boom, you'll automatically see it. I do this a lot when I'm looking for things. I call myself the finder of things, and I've got so many people you could ask for confirmation. Jay's daughter, Amanda, is one recent example. I've found a couple of other things for her before too, but she'll message me and be like, hey, we can't find this. Do you know where it's at? And I've been into their house like a handful of times, so I don't know on a conscious level where these things are, but I tap in. And I found her, like, they were completely out of state and wondering where her husband's pew pew went, because they hadn't found it to go on their trip. And she's like, we thought maybe it was at the last place we visited, and we're here now and it's not here. So we were wondering if you could tell us if it's here. And I'm like, no, it's at home. You're gonna have to wait until you get back to find it. But it's between pieces of cloth that are folded up. Could be like blankets or clothing or something like that. It was between blankets from their last trip. So I don't look at it like the problem, it's lost, can't find this item. I look at it from the perspective of, I know where it's at. Let me just give you that information. Where's that information again? I know it's around here somewhere, and then boom, here it comes. So applying this to our other things that exist for us, but we just can't yet find in our reality. That's going to be the way to circumvent that whole thing. Cosmic ocean, current dreams, future realities, and new beginnings. This is where this metamorphosis is taking you. Okay. Current dreams, future realities, and new beginnings. You are a part of the cosmic ocean. Okay. Source is water. Water takes on many different forms. We've been told this many times by water herself. And the cosmos, it's just a greater ocean, okay? Just a different density of water. you contain all of the problems, but all of the solutions too. So tapping into that source water, that source connection, your source, your higher self, because your fractal of source, basically. Okay, so um, this metamorphosis may be allowing you to tap in deeper into your own cosmic ocean, into the answers, the information, the wisdom, and the frequencies that are contained within you. Hi, Sue. Love you. Um, where was I going? Sorry, I got squirreled by the comments. Y'all know what it happens. Um, So we have Messenger with serious energy, bringing harmony and balance. I had a client today who I picked up serious energy from, and I was like, oh, you've got a Syrian braid. Anyway, serious energy, bringing harmony and balance. When you are faced with the storms and you are forced to remain balanced and, remain that eye of the storm energy, there's a storm right here. It looks like the eye of a storm anyway. On that ripple effect card. But when we are kind of forced to be just sit in the void, like a universal timeout, like you've been using too much of your masculine. Now it's time to sit there and just be feminine for a while. That's your messenger. All of the signs, synchronicities, like I've talked to you guys about that have happened to me today, some doozies. All of these things are your messengers. They're bringing harmony, they're restoring balance and harmony and helping you to have those aha moments, those synchronicities are giving you these epiphanies, ahas. That's when your frequency and your soul's essence is clicking into place. It's clicking into alignment, so to speak. We have I'm sorry showing up with defenselessness, righting past wrongs, and uprooting. So the storm that we talked about with that ripple effect, this storm is causing a lot of uprooting, upheaval. The I'm sorry card talks about transmutation with forgiveness. And we've talked about this before, forgiveness for yourself to transmute situations, um, surfacing energies or traumas, triggers, memories that are still weighing you down, that are anchoring you in that lower frequency. Forgiving those situations or those energies or those involved, it doesn't make it okay, it doesn't make it right, it doesn't, it's none of that. It's I see it and I'm releasing it. I'm letting it go. Hey, Steph. Did you get my messages? I messaged Steph about the synchronicities today, and then I was like, oh my gosh. And these two cards are the ones that came out when I was actually telling him about that. So, right on time, Steph. The messenger with serious energy and bringing harmony and balance. These situations, these synchronicities, these moments of difficulty that you can't masculine to death, you can't overcome, you can't tangibly do something to get this energy to move. So it uproots that whole belief that you have to action to get everything done, that you have to apply that masculine energy or even toxic masculine energy to get stuff done. Forgiving yourself and just sitting in that balance, releasing the need to use that masculine energy. We're kind of getting off on a side quest on that one, but that's what's coming through. Forgive the situations and those involved. Doesn't make it right, doesn't make it okay, but it releases that tether from you. You did not? Okay. So, yeah, talking about Henry VIII stalking me today, and how I had to discuss it with him and tell him like I had to download So that I was privy to share, or I felt he was privy to me sharing. Anyway, righting past wrongs. This is, bringing solutions to past problems, bringing balance where there was imbalance. It's like one was used more, one side of the scale was heavier because it's got more weight to it, because of all of the focus that you've been putting there and that energy with the masculine. Okay, so then you're being made to kind of sit in the void, in the void of creation, so that you can absorb more of that feminine energy, which brings those scales into balance. That's what that, if you guys understand that, if you follow that, good, because I don't even care to try to explain it because I'll go on a side quest again. Surrender to the sweetness, though. Okay, in that void, surrender to the sweetness, Venus energy, pleasure, joy, and making love to life. So I know sometimes it can be really difficult to enjoy the space in between when things aren't moving and we want them to move and we want them to flow and we're trying to get them to flow and they're not flowing. It's hard to sit in that. It's like sitting on your hands. Like, there's something that I could be doing right now. There's something that I could be helping with right now because I see so much need for so much help, but I'm sitting on my hands. Can't do nothing. It's hard. Okay, trust me, I know it is so hard, but once we surrender the need to be the one doing something, to be the one rescuing, to be the one advising, or helping in some way, orchestrating or something, to not being allowed to do any of that. Whenever you see like, that should be getting done, this needs done too, that needs done, and you're just kind of in this stasis, very frustrating. But use that time to tap into your inner child, to bring some more lightness, some more magic, to be open to seeing what you're truly needing to see. And we can get to the point where we're like, we tunnel vision, we don't see it and we don't realize we're in tunnel vision either. So that's when we will get these timeouts where we need to sit still and we need to try to enjoy things. We need to try to bring some lightness back into that. And if we're masculining too much a majority of our time, we're not open to receiving the things that are coming our way either. So we will be placed in timeout with a little universal dunce cap on or whatever, and have to sit out a recess and watch everyone else playing the game and sit on our hands. Okay. But use that time to observe, how is everything else functioning in the situation, which, it's the kids on the playground. This is the situation. This is the energy moving. How is it all functioning? Where is it getting stuck? Where is it flowing? And, just observe and really soak it in. And then after you have come back into balance, that observing really brings you more into your feminine energy. So whenever you're more in a space of balance, then from what your observations are, the information that you took in, now you can convert that into restructuring, reorganizing, and adjusting your trajectory. Then when it feels right, do it. When it feels right, do it. This is your portal. Mirror, mirror. That's what I just heard. It looks like the magic mirror from Disney's Snow White. So when it feels right, do it. Share the gifts. Share what you've learned. Share, your profession or whatever it is that wasn't moving forward, that I'm getting the archer again. When you feel like you're being pulled back, you're actually being propelled forward, but in the act of being pulled back, you're like, I'm regressing, I'm going backwards. But quiet the left brain. I know. Right stuff. Right? Yeah, same boat, buddy, same boat. Anyway, when you are being propelled towards your intended target, after you've readjusted your trajectory, that's when you can birth this thing. That's when you can express this. That's when you can share it with the world. That's when you can really, start to see it tangibilizing around you. It isn't about being right. It's about doing the right thing. So again, I'm getting, hey, Ben, how are you? Again, I'm getting adjustment of your trajectory. Perhaps you thought your trajectory, your energy was like focused on a certain target, but you didn't realize the static interference that was present, that would have distorted the signal, that would have shot your arrow off to like not even any kind of target. So this is just the realignment phase, and it can seem slow as molasses. Okay, molasses, as my papa calls it. Very, very slow. And some of us, especially ADHD minds, don't really appreciate that. But we gotta do what we gotta do to realign, refocus, and make sure that we're hitting our target. So it's not about being right in, oh, well, this is my trajectory. I know this is where I'm going, but why am I hitting this brick wall? Where did this brick wall come from? Why is it in the way? Like, I'm just gonna keep hitting my head against it to see if it just disappears. That's not going to happen. So stop hitting your head against a brick wall. You have the ability to affect your own destiny. So it's not about being right. It's about doing the right thing, which is going with that flow, surrendering to the energy and what it's doing with you right now, so you can observe, so you can, bring more of that feminine energy into balance. And then you can proceed towards your intended target in full balance. Okay. So keep calm and keep going. Or be calm and keep going is what it says. You're moving even when it feels like you're stuck. Energy is always in motion. Even if you're stagnant, you're still, in motion. It's just the dam doesn't break until you are in full balance and repair. So when you're in repair, dam breaks. I don't know how that makes sense, but that's what they said. So there it is. Oh my gosh. Okay. I know that was abrupt, guys, but that happens quite often with me, I guess. Frequency was in today, so you guys can thank Frequency for that abrupt ending. Yeah, always a good time with Frequency. Hi, Linda. Oh, you've been listening and driving? I'm glad that you did not comment while you were driving. How safe of you. Good job, because I would have told you. No texting and driving. Anywho, keep going. Just observe when you're put on pause, when you're put on timeout, when you think you know everything. Just pause. Okay. I really have got to remember to reach out to my internet provider because it shouldn't be glitchy like this. Yeah. So I think I need a new modem. So I'm just going to reach out to them if I can remember. Thank you, Anna. You're welcome. Slap on the hand. Yeah. You're welcome, Patrick. So I had a reading earlier and Frequency just like showed up to the party because it was just supposed to be like a regular consultation, a reading. But Frequency was like, give me the mic. So I was like, do you want to talk to Frequency? Because Frequency wants to talk to you. And they were like, yeah. Like, okay. That was unexpected. You're welcome, Catherine. Thank you. So I'm, in the channel doing the thing, and Duncan wants in and out, in and out. He's done this 3 times at this point, and he was just crying towards like the last 5 minutes of the reading. He was just crying, or the channel, and Frequency just kept on, not even distracted, just kept blowing through it, which I would have been distracted. You guys know that. But afterwards, I'm like still coming back in, not fully in, after Frequency made their exit. And she was like, your cat is crying. Like your cat has been crying for a while. And I was like, oh. I look over and he's on the dresser, and the dresser's right next to the door, and he's like pawing at the doorknob like he's gonna try to open the door himself. And I'm like, okay, give me a second. And I get up to go over to just open the door a few feet away, and I nearly fell flat on my face. I was like, I had to hold on to the wall and brace myself so I didn't fall. And I was like, okay, maybe after frequency channels that I should just like take a minute and come fully back into body before I go trying to walk or open doors or anything. But I felt like vapor. I felt like I was a ghost. Like, am I tangible? It was the funniest thing ever. So weird to experience. So yeah, that was my experience today with frequency channeling, and frequency's been popping through from time to time recently, and my voice will kind of go out also because frequency's working on the throat chakra. Thanks for the news. That just came through. So yeah, that's what's going on. Yeah. Okay, I got sidetracked and forgot what I was doing. We are talking about Atlantis and Lemuria and parallels to our current experience. So we're living in a mirror moment type thing, a collapse and a rebirth similar to Atlantis, but this time with conscious souls remembering, because, you know, everyone that was here for the fall of Lemuria and Atlantis are here now. So that we can volunteer to avert this historical loop, right? Because history repeats itself. His story repeats itself. The feminine creates. So we are rewriting her story. So we have conscious souls remembering. They, you know, and there are many levels to this remembering. Some of us will be very consciously aware. Yeah, frequency came through in my reading today. Some of us will be consciously aware and remember, you know, we'll have these memories surface for us. I'm doing good, Ben. I miss you guys too. Thank you. So we will have us that have the memories or come to these memories or activations at some point, you know, on our journey. And then there are some that won't be very consciously aware of it, but be more of the belief and more embodying that energy, and some that will be completely in the dark about it, but this primal like caution. And this is why there's a lot of people freaking out over what's going on, you know, worldwide, if you want to call it that, and with regard to what's happening in the United States at this time. And the United States, I don't know if everyone knows this, but the power points, intersections, energy intersections that were present at Atlantis shifted whenever, you know, it got swallowed up in the ocean, shifted over to the United States. So the US is the new Atlantis. And with their genetic manipulation and all, you know, the weird stuff they're doing with food and chemical additives and biological human additives, and those kinds of things, right? That it mirrors or mimics what happened back then, because at the fall of Atlantis they were trying to advance power and science over spirituality, and that fractured the space-time continuum, the fabric of this reality here. And that's when the energy was born of the Earth as we know it today, with the toxic masculine being dominant and the feminine being suppressed. So we're remembering the fall, whether in a conscious way or a super unconscious way, doesn't matter. We're still here and we're all volunteering to help with things. So you standing in your power, your memories, your you know, speaking up, using your voice whenever you're seeing misalignments or injustice or any of those things, highlighting, hey, this is what's going on. It's turning into, you know, Nazi Germany, okay, from the 1930s. Like, sound the alarms. This is what's going on right now. It's his story repeating itself, wounded masculine. And this is not the first time, and it's not the second time, and it's not the third. Okay, this is something that has happened. So this is the time where consciousness and um, also the heart aspect are so much more in balance with one another, that now is the time for us to overcome this energy, to heal that looping energy, and you know, create the next, okay, birth our new reality into being. And a lot of people are remembering you know, their earth-based magic, whether it's planet Earth, Gaia, or some other planet somewhere else where they also used earth-based magic, which it's the wrong label, but you guys get what I'm saying. I don't have another word for it other than dirt, and that's not the point I'm trying to get across either. So we'll just call it earth magic. So they have tried to suppress and silence and wipe out our histories, our you know, the fact that Atlantis even existed. They were in denial about that for, you know, I don't even know how long, and trying to cover that up, and trying to cover up Tartaria and all of these you know, all of our roots, all of our memories. They've wiped them out. They don't want this energetic loop to be averted. They don't want it to, you know, they want it to continue looping and looping. They want to continue the power loop, the low frequency power loop. So of course they're going to suppress our memories. They're going to name, you know, products that major corporations have been passing off to humans with the same name of something from our ancient heritage, so that whenever we see it and we recognize it, we're like, oh yeah, it must be because I've had that product before, or because I use that product all the time, or you know, whatever it is. So they are gaslighting us in the same breath as the suppression. Let me see. Sorry guys, I'm trying to get back to my other notes. So that's not it. Oh yeah, that is. Okay, where are we? Here. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about the grid and what happened back then, if you want to call it back then. If the government shows up with a bus and says, come here, we'll save you, run the other way. Yeah, exactly. Yes. If you couldn't tell, they don't give one single solitary fuck about us, let alone two fucks. Okay. So definitely do not go anywhere. So when they say, oh, trust me, we'll take you somewhere safe. No. Yeah, we no longer consent to this ruling wounded masculine. We lift our women up and not suppress and mistreat. Yes. And not only women, like, you know, with regard to gender, now is the time, because it's not really about the gender, the physical gender of things. That's what they've, you know, they've tried to make it about for thousands of years. And then, you know, even the people now in the spiritual communities are like, women are going to rule and men are going to be our slaves or our protectors, or they're going to get in line, they're going to get in their place. No, that's your toxic masculine speaking, baby. Um, the feminine energy within all of us is going to be more presenting, right? But not dominant. That's a wounded masculine perspective. So very much in unison, very much in harmony, but leading from the feminine energy within you, individually, everyone leading from that feminine heart space. Okay. And then protecting your own feminine, your own protection, or your own creations, your own experience with also your masculine. That's like, hey, I'm going to speak up because you're trying to suppress me right now, or you're not listening to my point of view, or you're attacking, you know, you're attacking my heart space in some way. So I'm going to speak up. I'm going to protect myself. So it's leading from that nurturing perspective while also not being afraid to be a warrior in a garden, baby. Okay. That's what this is about. Um, so absolutely, yes, everything that you said, Matt, but I just wanted to clarify that for anyone who might not be privy to that perspective or that information. You know, because we get a lot of viewers that watch that don't really participate or don't catch us live and things like that. So anyone that is undereducated on that aspect, that's why I wanted to make a point, and your comment brought that up for me. So thank you, Matt. But I know that I don't have to tell you all that. Can you install a cat flap for Dunk, the narcissist cat ways? Right. I do need to, I could put it in my door right here, but it's the one, like I would have to make them wear a collar, and it has a chip that opens, like unlocks the door. So I need to get a regular one that or just cut a hole in it so he can just come and go as he pleases. That friggin' cat, man. Okay, let me move my notes close together so I can switch between screens easier. So Lemuria. Lemuria is the heart, the feminine. At that time, we had Atlantis and Lemuria coexisting. They served as masculine and feminine, which we know, you know, above that, it's neutral, non-binary, non-gendered source is both masculine and feminine, right? And then we have these realities that we bring into creation where we have different rules. One, you know, one reality might have polarities that are exact opposites, and one may work with polarities that are more similar, like closer, but still pretty polarized, you know, pretty not the same thing, right? And it's not always darkness and light. There are many different worlds that we've created that have different rules and laws and all of these things, like our set of laws for our universe and this current reality. So at that time, it was in a polarized space because it's one of the creations that we brought down to density. Okay, so the further down you get into density, the more things start to, you know, polarize, to be at odds from one another, just so we can. It's just like working with contrast controls if you're editing a photo, right? Everyone's done that in their phone at some point or another. A photo was too dark and you made it lighter, or it was too light and you wanted to darken it a little bit, whatever. There are many controls, and there are many like gray areas that you can do to work with color, the contrasting, right? So at that time, we had very much the same, very much similar energies, but then we had the masculine that started to get out of balance in the masculine energy. And once it got so out of balance, it was like, oh, I'm going to just destroy the feminine and take what that has, and we're going to, you know, be all powerful and command the whole shit. So they decimated the mother, the feminine energy. They wounded her. She did not leave the planet, right? She did not leave this plane, but she was very wounded and then further suppressed, and, you know, all of the things that an awful male can do to a female was done to her, which caused so much fracturing, right? So much trauma. When you experience trauma, you fragment, you fracture. And then continuing to bully and beat down those fractured pieces and chase them down and unalive them and whatever they do, continues to fragment and to fracture. So that's basically what's been playing out over this time. But masculine dominates the feminine, suppresses her, silences her, whatever. And then they are like, okay, now we've got all of her stuff and we can take her property and create something huge and we'll be all powerful. Then we have all of the crystal technologies and all of the, components that we feel that we need to achieve this higher status of power, to dominate and control and create. How you create without feminine energy went over their heads. But I digress. They ended up blowing themselves up. Literally. Okay? They couldn't handle the power. And it was so fractured and fragmented because they just completely decimated the counterweight to them. So now they're wobbling out of control. They don't have that counterbalance of energy, that feminine, that gentle energy to maintain the balance. So what does it do? Spirals out of control, completely just, craters the shit. And then those who survive, those who carry these bits of information, which was very important for, bringing us to the point we are now. They carried the wisdom and information. Yeah, they carried the science. Yeah, they carried the traumas and all of those things. And they had to build from the ground up because it was destroyed before, but they still carried the codes, not just of the Atlantis as it was when it fell, but Atlantis was at one point a very balanced, very beautiful community, not just community, it was, it encompassed the whole plane. They were very balanced in their spirituality and their what we would say humanitarian approach to science and discovery and evolution of the species. It wasn't until there was that masculine wound that they started getting out of hand and started destroying shit and blowing it up. How do you draw parallels between what I've described happened in Atlantis with the fall of Atlantis and what's currently going on in the world today? I'm gonna leave it open for a couple of comments. The patience of a saint. Thank you, Matt. That's so sweet. So, parallels I've already drawn are genetic modifications on food sources and beings. What else? Perhaps wiping out an entire race of people, attempting to do so, eradicating entire races, enslaving, capturing, all of these things. So, what's going on that's different from, say, the last time this happened when consciousness wasn't at such heights as it is today? Even though a lot of the collective is still very unconscious, consciousness has evolved. Quite a not as much as it should have by now from judgments and perspectives, but it's getting there. But it's much higher than it was in the 1900s, early 1900s. I think 33 as being the number. Oh yeah, definitely. With CERN, definitely, Matt. Oops, sorry, not Matt. That was Steph. ETs have saved humans from extinction from the Large Hadron Collider. Yeah, a few times recently. Still playing out, but now, so, okay. A lot of you guys know that, and it's not just from the outside, it's also from within. We'll talk about that too. And heart. What was I going to say? Oh, so we've basically infiltrated the place, right? Starseed is what we're talking about. We're working from the inside out. So those of us with this information, whether we have experienced it and are an earth incarnating soul regularly or not, we're infiltrating from the inside. But also there are external oversights, because whenever you get so in your ego and King Dick wannabe power mode, you want to blow shit up. And that can't happen, because if Earth gets that experience, then it affects so many other star races. Okay, it would completely throw everything off, and Earth is like in quarantine, so they're going to make sure that the little kids that have matches aren't going to be lighting any grenades, or not grenades, grenades don't have a fuse, you know, the things. I don't want to say the word, you guys know what I mean. Bio-imba. It ripples throughout the universe. And what do you think happens? Ripples, right? You know, ripples get bigger and bigger and bigger. So if we're actually looking at it from a zoomed out perspective, what ripples out to the far reaches of the universe, okay, or any part of the universe for that matter, ripples out to the multiverse. And if things got so out of balance out, you know, in that lower frequency, where do you think that everything, even the higher light realms, would go, being impacted and taken by that low frequency energy? There would be no light left. It would ripple. It would, you know, it would evolve on its own. That darkness and density and lower frequencies. So you can see how that can't be allowed. Can I help you? No, honey, not right now. So you can see how that might be an issue. So that's why Earth is quarantined and contained. That is why, you know, these little kids playing with matches are not allowed to have access to gunpowder. Wait, huh? Which ET was shut down 10? Oh. Yeah, it's teamwork, Matt. It's teamwork. It's not any one specific. It's all of them. Yeah. You always thought we were going down the same path and thick cloned the sheep. Dang. Remember when they were growing ears, like human ears on mice backs? Like on little, yeah. I read that in 95 when I was in 3rd grade. And I was like, oh, no, not again. And I'm like, what? Where'd that come from? So I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, you'll see there's more activity in the skies. It's because they're like, we're patrolling this shit. Like, you're not allowed to. And it's in places that people aren't really consciously aware of, that there's like those underground bases and activity around those, not just like military base type activity, and the known military base activity. Deja vu. Confirmation. I dreamt about this like 10 years ago. Okay. This exact thing, this everything that's happening right now, being on the podcast, the comments, everything 10 years ago, at least. It's been a long time. So that was crazy. But so thank you for that comment, Matt, about no longer feeding the negativity and mass feed positivity and growth. Actually, yes. Okay. That absolutely has nothing to do with spiritual bypassing. We move through our shadows. We move through our shit as a collective. We call it as we see it, right? But it's not feeding negativity into that. It's not investing our energy there and getting fearful and getting angry and feeding that energy. It's we see you, but we're going to go ahead and give you the flip side of it, the way things are going now, because this is what we say is happening now. We speak, we create as we speak this reality into existence, not your little, dirty ass energy, stank thrift store leftovers from Atlantis, from Germany, and all the others that we could spend days listing. So how do we do that? We speak up. We have conversations like we are right now. We, bring people's attention to the misalignments. We call it as we see it, but we don't feed that energy. We don't feed, that fear. We say, let's come together. Let's focus on solutions. Let's figure out how we can get resourceful and how we can create something new, not by maintaining and adhering to the established system that's crumbled already. It's creating the new. This is what we're doing about this now. And come on, guys, the many are more powerful than the few. Watch A Bug's Life or Ants. Which one was it? It was A Bug's Life. It was Z. Ants. Was it both? I'm having like one of those moments where things are blending together and I'm not quite sure about reality right now. So you guys know what I mean. It's ants. Yeah, it's ants. Okay. Bug's Life, Anna, now I'm thrown off. I don't know. I don't really know. Thank you, Matt. You're resonating. And Matt says it's ants. Anna says Bug's Life. Matt says it's ants. I'm in between both of them. I don't really know what reality I'm in right now. I had a huge, in between experience with frequency today, and I'm not sure what reality I even stepped back into. Mixed pig with human back then, but yes, since pigs are 50% similar to us, we should not eat them. Yeah, but I love bacon. And also, pray over your food, meditate, change the frequency, all of that stuff too, because you absolutely are able to do that. But in the tangible system, it is best not to put your dollars you vote with. So it's best not to really put your dollars towards voting for things that are not okay for consumption. Ants is the one where grasshoppers are tyrants over ants. Okay, that's the one I'm thinking of. Then thank you, Steph. Because I'm like, wait, what? I don't know. My brain, y'all. It's okay. We'll get through this together. This is probably going to take multiple parts, maybe not even just a 4-part series for the week. We'll see. So, Lemuria, the heart, matriarchal, heart-centered civilization aligned with earth, water, and intuitive gifts. They communed with their ancestors, their star ancestors, as well as, the ones that lived their lives here or there at the time. Practiced collective living, healing, and vibrational medicine and oneness consciousness, not us versus them, skin color versus skin color, or I don't know your culture and it kind of freaks me out, so I'm going to say it's evil type thing. It was nothing like that. It was oneness and understanding that everyone has different perspectives, but that we can all love one another. Because I don't know about you, but my siblings and I didn't get along. There are lots of things that we don't like about each other. And even though I don't really talk to them now, I still love them just the same. And I know that they have vastly different perspectives from myself and from one another. So there's all of us with different personalities, different perspectives, different everything, but we can still love each other. I can still respect you and not want you to be sent to a freaking, camp where you're going to not survive or leave there, just because you think and act and believe differently than me. Like, there's room for you here too. And that's why I've never understood like the different, like, we have different contents of melanin in our skin, and that makes someone better than another one. It's insane. So they also did communication through telepathy, light language, and harmonic frequency. Okay. Priestesses worked with water codes, divine feminine, and crystal technology. And the fall of Lemuria was grief and dispersal into land masses like Polynesia, Andes, Himalayas. Those places, those who survived went to places like the Polynesian Islands, the Andes, the Himalayas, California, Mount Shasta, right? These different places, wherever they could get to in the time that this was all going down. So along with them came the fragmentation, the grief, the loss, right? The scarcity, the lack, the victimization, the victimhood, right? So that's when the feminine was wounded. That's when we started, really opening up to the greater manifestations, using that fragmented and wounded, fractured masculine and the wounded feminine. Atlantis was more so of the mind, the left brain. So think of Atlantis and Lemuria, left and right hemispheres. Okay. They were technologically advanced, focused on crystal energy, quantum systems, and DNA experimentation. Strong polarity. Okay, they had light priests and dark scientific elite. So they're after, I would say, alongside, probably stemming from before. Lemuria was just kind of in the middle of this and was a big, huge manifestation of this energy that was already there. But there were those, the society started splitting, those who were more balanced and heart-based, and those who were more left brain and wanting to gain the power and the hierarchy, the ascension of the mind. So that's where we have the light priests and priestesses of Atlantis, and then the darker scientific elite. Is this ringing any bells? They used psychic weaponry and manipulation of timelines and ley lines. And the society was already, fractured into these polarities within itself. So Lemuria happened right up in the middle of that. And there were those who did not agree with it whatsoever, and those who were brainwashed into believing that this is a good thing for us, and now we can dominate and we can be, the only truth. So it started getting really out of hand, really out of balance. They used psychic weaponry. How else do you think that they decimated Lemuria? And they also manipulated timelines by the decimation of her, and by the fracturing, fragmenting, and the trauma to its own people. Ringing any bells? So Atlantis became very imbalanced, elevating mind over heart and power over reverence, over earth-based communion, working with all that exists instead of trying to take dominion over them. The final fall came after misuse of technology and earth grid manipulation. They were doing experimentation with energy weapons and energy technologies. So it ended up fracturing and fragmenting the grid. And that is when this big boom took place. The remnants of that civilization, Atlantis, were scattered to Egypt, Maya, the British Isles, Tibet, and the Americas. Um, Shocking, I know. So, those polarities, having that, both falls, okay, of Lemuria and Atlantis further fractured the grid and inverted it. Okay, it was like a two-part phase of completely flipping and inverting the grid. When the fall of Atlantis happened, the poles of the earth were shifting. The You had a past life in Tibet, Anna. That is so cool. You'll have to fill us in on more of that later if you want to share. Um, so where was I? Sorry, I squirreled again. When the inversion took place, then you start to see the control culture, um, the rise of religious beliefs in order to manipulate the masses, in order to gain more power, right? And it just kept going along that vein that Atlantis ended on. Um, right now we're seeing a lot of the same thing happening with the weather patterns, volcanic activity, tectonic plates shifting, um, the air element, water, flooding, things, things like that are happening right now. That happened when Atlantis fell, and the poles had shifted after that when that happened. So then we had, the flooding, what they like to call Noah's flood, and things of that nature. Um, and the inversion of the poles, right? The flipping of the poles caused the complete inversion. But now we're seeing similar. We're seeing these weather patterns, and yes, a lot of it is manipulated, but a lot of it is Gaia, fighting fire with fire, basically. Like, you're going to manipulate my weather patterns. Okay, I'm going to create some weather patterns for you. Well, let's just clear out this energy while we're at it. Okay. So this is what we're seeing. This is the feminine resurrecting, standing in her power because she's had it. And Gaia is like, had it up to here with you. Now is the time. So Gaia herself is energetically shifting. She's in her frequency, she's shifting, she is raising. And there is an aspect also of the essence of Gaia as we've known it for this period is exiting, but there's a new essence always. And Gaia's souls or essences will shift over different periods of time depending on the energy that is needed for that current experience. So yes, Gaia does, like, Gaia is always here. Earth, as we know it, the plane, the planet, whatever you want to call it, is still there, but the essences come and go. They change, they shift, depending on what knowledge, wisdom, experience is necessary for both that essence as well as for the collective that is experiencing that with that being at that time. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. My children are playing, but they're also being very loud. Oh, did you, Matt? Awesome. Oh, look at you guys having synchronicities. Steph mentioned Siddhartha. Meanwhile, Anna's like, oh, I was just talking to Matt about Siddhartha before the podcast. That is so cool. I love you seeing you guys interacting like that and having synchronicities too. Soul fam, guys. We're soul tribe. We're the soul soup. Okay, so Lemuria, the heart of Earth's original template, predates Atlantis by hundreds of thousands of years, was located in the Pacific Ocean region, with remnants now found in Hawaii, Easter Island, New Zealand, parts of South America, and even close to Asia, Japan. Lemurians lived in harmony with the land, practicing sound and water healing, crystalline communication, and healing with crystals. So you would begin with the same frequency as Gaia's essence. Yeah. Do you guys hear my kids being like crazy? Okay, the divine feminine stewardship, nurturing and working with and, loving all of her surroundings, including Gaia, Terra, Earth, whatever you want to call it. Lemuria fell due to gradual shifts in the Earth's axis because of what Atlantis was doing, because of what the masculine energy on the plane at that time was doing. External galactic interference, and think regressive species entering the stage. Okay. And separation from unity consciousness, because once the feminine can feel things coming. So, of course, whenever something that big is coming, the civilization started to also sense something impending, something coming for years before it even came. So that was kind of like that fear virus spreading. Okay, that was, but they were feeling it. It was very real, very tangible. Empathic, think empathic. Okay, that divine feminine, she knows, she feels, she senses. So sensing that also caused the shift to quicken. Okay, which finally caused the manifestation of what happened with Atlantis and Lemuria. So that shift kind of separated them, not fully, okay, but started to separate them from the unity consciousness. And then whenever these, wounded masculine MRFers from Atlantis rolled up on them, they were like, so not like, we're not the same. Non-unity consciousness, right? So many of the Lemurians evacuated or descended into inner Earth, Agartha. You guys remember my dragon born from a volcano from inner Earth, named Agarth? Yeah, I put 2 and 2 together like a year ago on that one. So I was like, wait, what? I don't know if it was even a year ago. I think it was just like maybe 6 months ago, maybe 6 or 8 months ago. But I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. Like, of course, my dragon would be named Agartha, and Lemurians descended into, or I'm sorry, Agarth, and Lemurians descended into Agartha and created the inner Earth, holistic, beautiful, amazing place that it is now, that humans on the surface aren't privy to. Left Atlantis when I saw it coming, like it didn't. Yeah, because you already knew, you already experienced that. And you can have many simultaneous lives in the same place, to experience the polarities, to have the full experience too. And that's what you did there. Let me see where I am in my notes. How did Atlantis fall? It was the technology. There's a lot of factors, obviously, we just talked about that really facilitated energetically this thing happening. But it was the misuse of the crystal technology. They were trying to turn these healing crystals and weaponize them into a masculine dominant energy, whenever they were totally feminine to begin with. So that's not exactly the same as Lemuria now. No, they stole technology from Lemuria whenever they caused its collapse, and they moved those to the capital of Atlantis. So they were trying to use that technology in order to weaponize it, and it backfired on them. No, they were not also attacked. It was a self destruct on accident type of situation. Are our guides a part of our subconscious? Yes, that's how they communicate with a lot of people most of the time, because not everyone is consciously aware of them or of their relationship to them. So a lot of the way that they communicate is subconscious. It was a year ago, Steph? Okay, cool. Yeah, like I finally put two and two together, like Agartha, Agareth. Oh, it I don't have to make sense of it. I just give it like it comes through. I just, I go along with whatever it is, and then later on my logic will catch up eventually, maybe. All right. So where are we on time? Oh shit, we're like way over time. Um Not way over time, but like 10 minutes. So where did we leave off here? Oh, we're on how this time is different. So we can touch on this really, really quick, and then we'll continue this thought tomorrow and continue to part two of this tomorrow. So, um, the collapse. Atlantis was internal betrayal and elite abuse of their technologies, of their citizens as well. Um, Now there's institutional decay and mass awakening. Okay. Then they hoarded and weaponized knowledge, technology, and now it's becoming decentralized and remembered. We're starting to remember, and as more of these events unfold, more people are going to have these memories surfacing, um, a lot of them in a very conscious way, and a lot of them also not in a conscious way. They're just going to be upset and like, no, we're not going to do this. Like, I know that this is how we avoid it. I don't know how I know, but this is how we do it. So um love you, Matt. Sweet dreams. You're welcome, Lisa. um So back then, feminine energy was suppressed and buried. Now it's resurrecting and leading, healing. Okay. Then the public role was passive or silence. They were like, we see what's going on, but we're not going to say anything because it could be us next. And now it's more resurrecting and leading. You're seeing people actually, no, this is not okay, calling out everything, you know, combating it in whatever way they can, trying to change it, right? Trying to avert another tragedy. Um, Earth grid was collapsing and unstable at that point. Gaia was in, a much younger state at that point. And now the crystalline grid is reactivating. There are so many volunteers and so many helpers here from other places to help restore and reactivate the crystalline grid. And that's where we get the New Earth volunteers. The galactic support back then was very minimal. It was like crickets out there. Okay, we didn't have all of these ships hovering in the skies and watching the events unfold. There wasn't really a lot of interference, because it was more of a new phase of the experiment. And now it's like, this is played out already. We're gonna interfere because now it's like getting to the point where it can affect the greater cosmos, and it did then. And that's what got their attention then, but they didn't really start answering the call in a more tangible, physical, like lifeguarding type of way, I guess you could say, like they are now. So now they're intervening through people that have incarnated here, but also like Steph touched on earlier, they're causing these things that people are trying to cause damage with, to be completely just taken offline. Like, no, put you in your place. Here we go. You just sit right there. We're going to take your candy and your ice cream cone because you've had too much sugar today. Because popcorn wasn't invented back then. Yeah, now they got their popcorn. They're like, you see this episode? Triangular spaceships. Yeah, a lot of them are modeled that way. It's for more aerodynamic travel. The bigger ones aren't always, shaped that way, but many of the bigger ones are too. There are smaller ones and bigger ones, but has to do with frequency travel, manipulating. Um, so there's grids, like even in the air, even out in space, just like there's grids on the earth, and our vehicles tangibilize and work in a certain way with the energies and with the bare basics that we have here, but they're more advanced, so they use sacred geometry and all of that, frequency and vibration and all of that. So their design are um, their designs are created in that way for those reasons. Um, Soul contracts. Then it was all about, individualism, about escaping and, taking care of number one. Now it's more collective healing and anchoring in that oneness again, because back then it went from oneness to individual, right? And now we're going individual into oneness again. Quick to get the holy water and a sign across. Oh my gosh, that's terrible. I'm so sorry about that. But definitely a marker for that memory, though. Like, you remembered what happened then because, obviously because of what happened, but also you had that other, um, you know, experience that was traumatic, but it was big. So it was like a signpost there. So I would definitely bring some healing to that situation. So right now we have ice agents, the enforcers of empire, just like the Atlantean elite had psychic soldiers. Okay, and what has our government been doing in the US for so long? They've been weaponizing psychics. I mean, I'm a gate kid. I was in the gate program. Okay, gifted and talented, uh whatever they're called, gifted and talented, I forgot the last word of it. Anyway, I was in that program. They were weaponizing children, and they were gaslighting them and manipulating their frequencies in school so that to try to prevent the awakening. But there was a double purpose for that, dual purpose. Anyway, veterans are rising. Atlantean soul groups redeeming warrior trauma through their sovereignty. Um, if you know anything about what's going on, you'll see that there are actually a lot of veterans that are rising up there saying, hey, I didn't fight for this shit. I didn't put my life on the line for this shit. So they are reclaiming that uh, that essence, and they're healing that through creating change here and now. Um, Social media and things like that are new channels for frequency, so that we can share our voices over the propaganda that they sow, right? Because we have access to other perspectives now that they didn't have that kind of access then. So they were only of the perspective that they were fed and given through propaganda and things like that. But now we're all starting to remind one another. We're starting to awaken one another, and just by speaking on injustice and misalignment and imbalance, and whatever kind of actions that you are individually capable of making in order to awaken those who are maybe asleep to what's truly going on, and how this pattern is being broken. That's how you make a difference. That's how you make a change. So we will continue this in part 2 tomorrow, because I've taken up plenty of y'all's time. And you're so welcome, Anna. Thank you, love. That's so crazy, man. That is so cool though, Anna. But definitely, definitely a marker for that memory so that you didn't lose that. So do some healing on that and then see what more you can extract from that as far as information or experience or anything like that you can reawaken, because that definitely has something important all wrapped up inside of that reminder, that signpost, and that trauma ball. Oh, Sue, that's insane. I'm so sorry, but we're changing it, honey. I love and appreciate you for, you know, for interacting with us, and definitely do not put yourself in a position that is not safe for you by sharing my content ever. I would absolutely not want that at all. So I love you guys so much. Thank you so much. I will see you guys again tomorrow, same time, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, 1 a.m. British summertime. And we'll carry on with part 2 of this and what we are doing here, how things are changing, and how they may look moving forward. So if you want more of this subject, then definitely tune in tomorrow. I love you, Ben. Thank you, darling. I love you guys so much, and I will see you then. Mwah. Take care. Oh, hi, Mala. We love you. Love you, Patrick. Thank you.